If you want to stop repeating the same manual tasks in Azure over and over again, then look no further the Azure Automation Account. Welcome to today's video where we break down the Azure Automation Account, what it is, why it matters, and how you can use it to automate everything from the virtual machine management to patching and beyond. By the end, you will be able to automate like a pro. And if you are serious about learning the Microsoft Azure, then stay tuned for how Cloud 360 can accelerate your cloud journey. My name is Navneet Kumar and I am a Microsoft certified trainer. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe it for future updates. Well, the first thing first, what is Azure Account? The Azure Account is a cloud-based service offered by Microsoft which can automate your day-to-day tasks which are repeated, requires the manual intervention of the users, and the administrators are busy in doing those tasks again and again. You can automate them so that this keeps running 24/7 on a scheduled time. Your scripts or workflows are executed without any delay or errors. Think of it as your personal cloud assistant that works 24/7 and that too without being tired. Well, with Azure Automation Account, you can run the PowerShell or the Python scripts automatically, which can be the PowerShell workflows or the Python scripts. These can be text-based or graphical workflows that you can create. You can schedule the jobs like the virtual machine start-stop, resource cleanup, or updates. You can manage the configuration, inventory, and updates for the virtual machines. You also can integrate it with logic apps, runbooks, and with the help of hybrid workers, you can automate the processes in your on-premises data centers. In a nutshell, the automation account does three different types of automations. Number one, business process automation, like the day-to-day business tasks you can automate with this. Number two, it can do the configuration management to deploy the configuration to the Windows or Linux machines using the Azure desired state configuration, which ensures the stable and the state of the servers is same as per the configuration defined. Number three is the update management for your Azure or on-premises workloads. Well, now that we have seen what Azure Automation Account is, let's talk about some of the use cases of the automation account. Number one is we can automate the shutdown of the virtual machines during the non-office hours. We can use it to automatically start the virtual machines during the office hours. We can schedule the patching for the Windows or Linux machines. We can use it to clean up the unused resources on daily basis. We can automate backup or the snapshot creations. We can connect to on-premises servers also with hybrid runbook workers. In fact, you can automate anything that supports the PowerShell or Python scripts or workflows, be it your workload running in Azure or in on-premises. You just write a script once, schedule it, and you are done. Let's have a look into a demonstration where we will see how we can create and manage the automation accounts in Azure. To create an automation account in Azure, I'll click on Create a Resource. We'll select the automation account. From the marketplace, I will choose the automation account from Microsoft as a publisher. Here we see this automation. I will click Create the automation account. That's an Azure service. Since it's a cloud service, so you need not to manage the underlying infrastructure for it. You just need to specify that which subscription, which resource group you want to create it inside. For example, I create test RG. The name for this automation account, test automation account, or to make it unique, I put today's date, test 18/5/25. In East US region, I want to create this automation account. I have several other parameters that I have ignored. If you want to have a look like in advanced, I can choose that how will it be integrated with Azure services. In the Azure ecosystem, I can use the managed identity with this to integrate, and that I can use with system assigned, which is actually the life cycle of this managed identity stays with the service. It lives and dies with the service. Whereas I also can use the user assigned managed identity that we define or create manually. The life cycle of the user assigned managed identity is different from the service. I will go with this so that in future, if I delete this automation account, the identity associated on it will also be automatically deleted. So this helps in integrating. This is an Entra ID service principal, which is managed by the Entra platform, and its credentials are managed by the platform itself. So it is directly assigned to the service. It lives and dies with the service, as I said. The endpoint of this automation account, I can keep public, or I can make it a private endpoint, and I can associate it with the private link to the virtual networks where I want to leverage the automation capabilities. I'm going with public at the moment. Tagging is optional, but in production we use that to define the cost center or the department or specific attributes to this resource. I'm ignoring it, and then I finally go with review and create this automation account. It takes few seconds to create this automation account. Automation account is deployed. I'll click on go to resource to see this automation account and its attributes. Here in this automation account overview blade, you will see the basic settings of this automation account, like the resource group, the location, the subscription ID, status, and when was that last modified. Here we have the activity logs related to it, the control plane to assign the access, the tags, diagnose and solve the problems related to it, resource visualization. Let us see the classification of the capabilities of the resource of the automation account. Number one is the process automation we can do. So that we can do with the help of Runbooks. We can monitor the jobs, or we can use the hybrid Runbook worker groups to automate the on-premises data centers. Next is the configuration management with Azure DSC, the desired state configuration, that we can use to deploy the configuration to Windows or non-Windows devices so that their state is stable and their configuration is maintained as per our requirement. Next is that we have the shared resources. We also can use it for update management, but let's see this shared resources blade first. So we have the option for schedules. We can define the schedule that when a particular runbook will execute. So we can create and store them here. We can store the modules, the PowerShell modules here. We can add these modules from here, or we can browse the gallery and we can add them. So these are the resources that will be utilized within our runbooks. The Python packages we can onboard. We can use the credentials. So we can store the credentials and we can use these credentials in our runbooks. The connections, we can establish some sort of API connections when required. So we can add these connections, store them here. So this is to establish a connection, the name, the description, the type of the connection with Azure or classic certificate or with the service principal. You're going to establish this certificate, this connection with the target resource. Here is the list of the certifications. So you can store these certificates here. You can store the variables that you can call in your workbooks, or you can use them in your runbooks. Now here we have the related resources that we can configure, like any linked workspace, or that is for the log analytics workspace for the change tracking purpose when we do the update management, the event grid, start stop of the virtual machines, the watcher tasks. So these are the related resources we can use. For example, this is start stop virtual machine, so we can enable the or manage these start stop virtual machine solution to use this storage account. We have the options for account settings, where from properties, networking, keys, we can configure. We can look for the settings, we can put the log, we can do the monitoring from here, we can do the automation through CLI or PowerShell or tasks, or we can export the template, and finally we can submit a help request or support ticket to Microsoft in case we need a support. These are various blades in the automation account. Now let us do some sort of automation. So for that we require some of the runbooks that we can store. So for that I go to the process automation and go to the runbooks. we have the runbooks over here for the demonstration purpose or for the learning purpose, that how do we write the runbooks. So we will find those dummy or demo runbooks that we can use for our learning, like Azure Automation Tutorials with Identity or Azure Automation Tutorials with Identity. If I want to use it in a graphical one, the graphical PowerShell. So this runbook type is graphical, this is text based. To demonstrate you how we can use these runbooks, I will onboard a runbook from the GitHub. First, I show you the option that the runbooks that we can create are of different types, like PowerShell, Python, PowerShell workflow, graphical PowerShell, or PowerShell workflows, graphical PowerShell workflows. In fact, we can import a runbook from our system if we have created. Then we can choose that file and we can upload it to this automation account. We can go to the browse gallery and we can onboard the runbooks from the GitHub or from the PowerShell gallery. In my case, I will use this stop Azure V2 virtual machines that is created by Azure Automation product team. I will use this graphical runbook to stop the virtual machines during the non-office hours. This is the runbook which has several activities, like first it will authenticate to the Azure using the PowerShell commands, and then it will collect the virtual machines information and it will then stop those virtual machines. If the virtual machine is already in the stopped state, it will notify that the VM is already in stopped state. I will provide it a friendly name and we'll choose the runtime version, which is the PowerShell 5.1 I'll be using for this. And the runbook type I cannot change, which means that from graphical to text or text to graphical runbooks cannot be changed. If you have written a graphical runbook and you need a text version of it, you have to literally map it with the required PowerShell commands or the workflow activities. Well, this import is successful. This workbook is onboarded to this automation account, which I can now modify as per my requirement. As you see, this stop AZ VMs is in the new state as compared to the others which are in published state, which means if your runbook is in the new state, you cannot schedule it to run because you have onboarded it from the internet, from the GitHub repository. So if you schedule it, it can have some malicious code in it. So all you need to do is you need to open it into the Visual Studio or into the portal. This will give you a canvas where you can check all these activities, like connect AZ account is the PowerShell command used, and this is the label assigned that you see on the task here. Then there are parameters configured for it. Optional parameters are there that you can specify for this runbook. Let me open this in the portal and show you some other activities that are part of this runbook, the graphical activities. It will get the single VM, all VMs from the resource group. So here it is, get single VM, the parameters we can merge. So this is the merge activity. This is another PowerShell command, get VM. Then stop VM, AZ VM is the command, stop VM is the label. These are the commands and their parameters, be it required or optional, their parameter sets. So you can do that sort of modification if required through these activities here. You can do some plus minus to this, I mean manipulation to this existing runbook based on your automation skills. I have done a separate series on PowerShell. You can learn about the automation, how do we deal with this, and on PowerShell workflows I have done a video, so you can watch that from the channel. I'm linking it with a schedule. So to add this schedule, I'm specifying a schedule here by the name test, and in this I will choose the time zone Indian Standard Time and will choose the execution time for this runbook. These schedules are stored in the shared resources. The time zone need to be selected here on which date and time you want to execute. You have the option to run these runbooks on a schedule once or on the recurring schedule. If you want it recurring, so you can define that how frequently you want to run it, and if you want it only once, so choose once and then create it. For my testing purpose, I'm creating it for once. In fact, I will not wait for this schedule because 30 minutes from now have been added into this schedule. So for this demonstration purpose to record this video, I'll be executing this within the starting pane or testing pane within the portal rather than waiting for the schedule. This is my virtual machine, and this virtual machine is already in the stopped state. So I'm going to start this VM so that I can execute that runbook to show you that the virtual machine is stopped by the runbook. Well, the virtual machine will be started. It will take few seconds. We can get back to the automation account and we can test this runbook. We have to provide few additional attributes while we are going to link it to the schedule. So we go to the Runbooks. Here we see that the runbook is now in the published state and it supports the link of a schedule to it. So to link it, all I need to do is I need to click on link to schedule. I will specify the schedule that I have stored in my resources of the automation account. Will provide the parameters like the resource group name, the virtual machine name, and the subscription. So I will provide these three details here. These were the parameters specified in the workbook. Here you see that it will require a string value for the subscription. I will take the subscription ID by opening a duplicate tab. I do not want to change this window. In the resource group name, I will provide the resource group name of my virtual machine where it is. The virtual machine name is VM1. The subscription is my Visual Studio subscription. I can either search for the subscription or it was there here in this virtual machines list. I will open this subscription and will copy my subscription ID to specify. Here we go. As you see that it will accept the string value, so it can be any alphabet and numbers. I copied the subscription ID and pasted that here and click OK. Click OK. And now we see that the virtual machine is in the running state. The machine has been powered on. It is in the running state. Now we will test our runbook. So rather than waiting for that schedule for 30 minutes from now, I will execute this runbook in the test pane. On the top you see the options like save this after making changes, publish, revert to published, or input and output, and then test pane. In the test pane I can execute this. So to start this runbook you need to click start. I can provide the parameters that I want to use in case I want to overrule any existing values. I can provide them here, though these are the same parameter values. How do I want to do the tracing of the activities that will go with this runbook? And then I will click start. This has been started running. And I see that there is an error that the authorization issue is there on this resource. So when I created this automation account, you may have observed that I used the managed identity for integration, and I need to provide this automation account the permissions on the subscription where this VM is, or on that resource group, or on this virtual machine itself, the permissions to stop this. So it could not stop this virtual machine because the necessary permissions were not available to that automation account. The automation account runbook was using the managed identity associated with this automation account. So I will add the permissions. I'm doing add role assignment on the subscription. As I mentioned that I could have done this with granular control on the resource group or on the virtual machine. I'll assign this privileged role as contributor who has the permissions to stop these VMs as well, and then I will select the member as managed identity. There are 3 managed identities which are system assigned managed identities, and this is my automation account I have selected as a contributor. I will review and assign these permissions to the managed identity associated with my automation account, under which or under the security context of which this automation account runbook will execute. To test this, again I will start this runbook. I will click on this start button in this testing pane. It will again be started. The job is queued. As soon as the compute is allocated by Microsoft to this, the runbook will execute. The agent has been allocated. It is starting. To these automation accounts, we do not have the dedicated compute assigned, so they are assigned based on the demand, so that we get the micro billing based on the minutes or seconds we use these automation accounts to run these workflows or runbooks that we have specified. The job has been completed, and let's wait for the output of this activity. So this is the VM1 that has been stopped. This is about the module version that has been used in this activity. We can update to the newer one. I've already shown you the automation account modules where we can import more modules and we can use those PowerShell commands accordingly. If I go and check this virtual machine, the virtual machine is in the stopped state. This is how we use the automation accounts to play the runbooks, and the runbooks can be of different types, be it graphical, which requires less development skills, or the text based.